We have also requested from the Treasury this number.
Which number,
The FDI number. The Honorable Minister made a statement. We wanted to clarify that. We have asked for it. I think we'll get it at some point.
From the committee we have requested.
I requested, yes.
But we, as a committee chairman, we have not made a decision to get that information from the,
No, that's fine. I just asked for the information
okay.
from the Treasury.
We'll have a separate chat on that.
No, I mean, look, we need to know this information. How much of FDI did we get?
We need to know the information, Chairman, with due respect. That's why I said we'll take it up separately, but since you're mentioning, committee makes decisions collectively when calling for institutions, when seeking information from government institutions, etc.
See, this is an oversight committee, Mr. Minister.
Yeah.
You have your job, I have my job, right? If you don't want to send the information, that's up to you. But we have the right to request information.
No,
so
when you say we, that's correct. That's the committee.
I, as the chairman,
not
make
as the chairman.
certain administrative decisions as to what information I request.
I
We can take it out, take it up elsewhere. But we have the right to ask for information, and
Committee has the right, not an individual.
No, listen. I don't need to ask every member in this committee whether to ask for information A, B, or C from the Treasury or the central bank.
No, the charter specifies what need to be get, what are the powers.
If you don't want to be
positions, etc.
transparent, that's up to the government.
No, it's not about transparency. It's about following the processes.
No,
that
this
are
is the process we have followed in this committee. Never have we ever, even in the past, the government members saying, look, we are not going to be transparent.
Chairman.
No, we will request information as and when we need, see it fit.
As a committee, not as a person.
As a chairman, I have a certain privilege of asking for information.
That's why I sought clarification also from the secretary where that rather the right is emanating from.
Right, if you want to take it up at a different forum, whether to, if you don't want to be transparent, that's fine.
No, it's not a question of transparency once again, Honorable Chairman. It is about following the process.
This is the process.
If that makes the decision, and the decisions of the committee will be conveyed by the chairperson, chairman to the respective agency.
It is not like that. If you want to change that, you can go ahead and try it. But it is not like that. I don't have to ask every member of the committee every time I request something from the government. That is not the practice of this committee. There are certain traditions that there is certain powers vested and there are certain traditions. I don't need to ask the Minister of Finance every time I need to ask something from the ministry. That's not the way it is done. This is an oversight committee and we have the right. So if you want to challenge that, you are welcome to do that, but let's not do it here. But we have asked for it and we are waiting. Yeah, we are waiting for it. The question in this case is retained earnings really is the biggest, I think, in terms of FDI. If you look at the last so many years, I don't know, I don't have the numbers. But the question I was going to ask is not that. I was going to ask you about the reserves. How stable are these reserves? Because I recall when we had that big debate about $8.2 billion of reserves, almost $6 billion happened to be short-term money. They were swaps, and they were foreigners, investing in treasury bills locally. So in that context, Director, how stable do you think these reserves are?
Chairman, one second.
Yes.
Secretary, kindly make a note that the committee has not made a request to recall for the information from the ministry.
No, there is no need to make any committee, this thing. I have asked, if you want to take it up with me, take it up with me. In a different forum. Yeah, so no need to make any comment. I have asked for it.
The official letter has gone representing the committee.
No, it has gone from me.
No,
if you don't listen, Minister,
when
if
they
you don't want
communications,
listen. Let us not make it a political matter here. This is not
about political matter, Chairman. It's about when an official letter is sent to a ministry, they will look at it as if the committee has requested.
No, it is not as if the committee. It is the chairman. That's my prerogative. If you don't want to be transparent, so be it.
It's not a provocative, Chairman. It might have been interpreted in that way, but it is not the case. Now, it was mentioned to me, even the Honorable Speaker of the Parliament will have the same right. I discussed with the Honorable Speaker as well, because it's coming from the privileged provisions. The Speaker will contact the respective authorities on the basis of requests coming from the team that is working together. So it is not one individual who's making and driving it. No, it is a teamwork. So in order to do that, so it's a different
No,
discussion.
you
We'll
can
take it up
chat, this
separately.
is not,
But
this
I
is
want
not
to
Harsha
report
De
that
Silva.
one in place.
This is,
That
no, no, this
committee
is,
has not made, because I have to check with the ministry
no, no,
also
there
if
is
you all
no
have
such,
sent
no
information
such
as such.
need, no such need. This is not Harsha De Silva. This is the chairman of the Committee on Public Finance. This is the oversight committee. We are supposed to have oversight on you, the government, the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance cannot turn around and say to the chairman of the Committee on Public Finance, no, we are not willing to share that
No,
information.
this is following the due process.
Let us not go
Yeah.
into a debate here, because we are not here for that. We will take it up later.
Yeah.
Yes, please
No,
go
but I
ahead.
want, my request is to record that committee has not made a decision to call for such information. from the
Committee
ministry.
never requested, the chairman
Yeah,
requested.
because we
So
need to
that's-
go look at the provisions.
You look
and
at whatever
individuals
provision you
may
want,
interpret
but-
it differently.
But
But the
I
committee
am
has
the
to
one
make
who,
a call.
I am the one who requested that.
Yeah.
It's not the committee. I have requested that chairman.
So we are saying the committee has not made such request.
Oh, it is clear that I
Yeah.
have requested. Please go ahead.
On the, your question is about gross official reserves,
Yeah, so my
yeah.
question is, how stable are these reserves, given the history of short-term money and swaps?
So we have been buying, last 2-3 years, we have been buying a large amount. Last year itself, we bought over 2.8 billion. And during first 5 months, we have bought 900. So there is a larger proportion that has been either through purchases or the inflows to the government, like IMF tranche. We received IMF tranche in March. So, and also there are some inflows coming from ADB, World Bank. So those are the main part of reserves now. The short-term reserve component, short-term swap component is not that significant now.
So it is stable, that's what you
It's
say?
quite stable, yes.
Just one question on the remittances. We had this debate about whether the exported remittances are coming back to the country. Do we have a mechanism now to check that?
Repatriation, we have the monitoring foreign exchange department, monitoring mechanism, they report through the banks and exporters, is almost 100% repatriation is happening based on the survey that we are doing. Repatriation exert proceeds, out of which there are conversion requirement is there. Within 3 months they have to convert whatever balance after they have to pay for imports and loan servicing, balance will have to be converted within 3 months. As a conversion requirement is one thing, repatriation is one thing.
Yeah,
Repatriation is 100%.
100%?
Yeah,
So
on
that
average.
means the customs data is
Yeah,
tallied?
custom data, banking data, and the from the companies as well.
That's for goods and services both?
It's mainly the goods.
Goods.
Services difficult to, because there's no record
No
of customs
trace.
here. No trace.
And on the exchange rate, we have seen the rates being slightly depreciated compared to the end of last year. The rupee has depreciated by 2.3% against US dollar thus far during the year. On the inflation front, I will be covering the discussion on the section 26 breach report as well. So let me start with the inflation development first. We have observed inflation being remaining at lower level.
Sorry, a quick clarification. Is this the second part of the presentation, the report on the deviation of headline?
Yeah, we have combined both
Right,
together,
okay.
yes. So the slower inflation or the deflation conditions since September last year has been mainly driven by broadly the supply side conditions. Several downward revisions to electricity tariff in March last year, July last year, and January this year. And 30% last year, March, 34% in July, and 20% in January. That's a major factor that's driving this deflation. And also we have seen, in line with the global price developments, we have seen fuel prices, domestic fuel prices and LP gas prices have been reduced in smaller quantities on a continuous basis. That is also partly contributing to this downward pressure on the inflation. And also we have seen food inflation has been at a moderated level, except last month we have seen food inflation being at a quite lower level. And particularly in January, there has been a large statistical base effect that is related to the VAT adjustment that happened in January last year. That also partly explained a relatively high deflation that was recorded in January. And let me come to the discussion on this inflation breach. The section 26 requires inflation to be, the quarterly inflation to be measured by CCPI inflation, and the target for that is 5%. And in terms of defining the inflation target breach, the Act says, and also in terms of acts, there has been an agreement with the government that was called Monetary Policy Framework Agreement. We signed this in October 2023. As per the Monetary Policy Framework Agreement, our inflation, quarterly inflation target is 5%, and there is a margin allowed with plus or minus 2%, so that if inflation deviates below 3% or above 7% for 2 consecutive quarters, then that is defined as inflation target breach. And we have seen from second quarter of last year, inflation has been below 3%. So we have, as per the Act's requirement, the Monetary Policy Board is expected to submit breach report. And we have submitted the first report in December, and we had a discussion about that in January this year at the COPEF. And the second report was submitted to the minister in March, and today's discussion is about that. And third report also has been submitted to the minister 2 days back, and today's presentation will cover that report as well. The line shows the actual inflation movements versus the target of 5% and the band allowed under the Monetary Policy Framework Agreement. And as I explained earlier, from second quarter of 2024, we have seen inflation being lower than 3%. And we already explained the reasons up to quarter 4, that is minus 1.5% at the last discussion. And today's discussion will cover the recent, the quarterly inflation of, deflation of 3.6% recorded during the first quarter. And this shows the composition of inflation, and we have decomposed the headline inflation into 3 major categories: food and alcoholic, non-alcoholic beverages, energy and transport, and other category. And we could see that the most of the times, starting from March 2024, we have seen this energy and transport category being on the negative side. That is the major driver of bringing this inflation being lower than the lower bound of the allowed margin. Even though we have seen other components, food inflation has been quite small, and in May it has increased, and other components have been small positive. And because of that, we have recorded a continuous deflation starting from September. And the report...
Moment.
Yeah.
Now, what is the, I mean, central bank's control is over the core inflation, is it not?
Yeah.
So, have you compared the core inflation?
So we have given the table here.
That's right, on that.
So it shows during the third quarter last year 3.8%, then 2.8% in Q4, and Q1 0.9%. And the current projection suggests that from now onwards we will see a gradual pickup in core inflation.
You know, we asked this question, Governor, last time also. You know, I mean, pricing of fuel is not your business. But what you're saying is inflation is getting out of your band because of administered prices. So, how do you reconcile that?
So this is a challenge, obviously, when there's too much volatility in a major component of the inflation, like this food and energy, transport has a larger component in overall index. So when that is controlled by outside the demand management policies, then obviously you will see headline inflation moving up and down beyond the target or below the target. So that's one of the reasons, as I said earlier, countries like us, why we can't maintain a very low stable inflation, because of that component always very volatile. I think what we expect going forward with the smoother cost recovery pricing, if that is happening, we won't see this kind of volatility. What happened last 1.5 years has been, during the crisis, it was increased sharply and it was coming down sharply. I think we would expect that to be stabilized and not to have a lot of volatility. If that is the case, I think we should be able to maintain even headline inflation much more stable. But in the meantime, transition period, this is something is difficult to manage. This is where inflation expectations are anchored, not on the core inflation, but on the headline inflation. That's what people feel of the inflation of price levels. That's why it's difficult for us to justify why we target core inflation, because that is not something people feel. It's a level of price headline prices.
Thank you.
The inflation reach report also expect us to explain the public and the parliament the estimated time period within which inflation is expected to come back to the targeted level. So we have shown our projection in an inflation fan chart. I can briefly explain about this chart. So we start with the line chart that shows the actual inflation movements and up to now. Then from that onwards, we are showing a fan chart with some bands. And that bands are differentiated by colors. That's a darker shade and gradually fading colors. The darker shade of the area shows the 50% probability of inflation being within that band. And the next band shows 70% probability and the other band shows 90% probability. So if we talk about this 50% band, it clearly shows that we are expecting these deflation conditions to end very soon. We are expecting by early third quarter, we will start seeing positive inflation. And towards the end of the year, we will see inflation moving towards the targeted level. And by early next year, we will be within the targeted band.
Why do you think the deflation situation is
So we have a model, the structural model, and that includes several other variables. So based on the actual data realized so far, and also we have some other models also to give some inputs about the next few months inflation and next few quarters GDP growth and all. So all these are going as inputs, and based on that we are getting this projection.
Are energy and transport prices still expected to have the same effect, or
We expect that to become positive.
positive?
Yeah. And the ongoing recovery in the economy, monetary easing and energy price normalization that is expected with the upcoming price revisions, we expect headline inflation to move towards the targeted level. And this projection is based on the information that we had as of the last monetary policy cycle, that was by the last week of May.
Normalization, what do you mean that?
Normalization, this has been in a negative range continuously, and we expect that to get adjusted. In line with the cost reflective, yes. Yeah.
I have a question here. Now, this is the Colombo Consumer Price Index. Now, when we measure real and nominal GDP, we look at a deflator. That deflator takes into consideration not just the consumer basket, but everything else. Now, a debate that we were having 2 days ago with the Ministry of Finance is what might be the difference between nominal GDP growth and real GDP growth for this year. Could you explain to us a little bit about that and what you expect the sort of the overall inflation, not just the Colombo Consumers Price Index, but everything else put into the mix?
So I think the reason for us taking CCPI, I think we discussed it last time also. So even though NCPI is covering...
I'm not talking about the NCP, I'm
Okay.
talking about the deflator.
Deflator, okay, deflator. Yeah.
See, because if you are expecting 7% growth nominally, and real 3.2 or 3.3 or 3.5, that difference is the deflator, isn't it?
Yeah, so this year we are expecting around 4% for deflator.
4% for the deflator. And
Annual average.
annual deflator, 4%. Then the annual average for inflation, CCPI?
Inflation is around 0.
0. Okay, so there's so that difference is coming from what is not included in the Colombo Consumer Price Index?
Yeah, I think the Colombo Consumer Price is only a consumption basket.
Correct.
Deflator has consumption, investment, exports, imports.
Everything.
Part of the wages also reflected. So that's why it's a much broader indicator of the economic activities rather than a consumer price inflation. I
That's
think that's where when the census developed the deflator, they use CCPI for say consumption part.
Right.
I use CCPI as a deflator. But the investment and other components, they have different indicators reflecting other parts of the prices, say production index. Let over them, but only problem is that those are not monthly available. It's only quarterly basis, only DCS publishes. There's lack of not much transparency on this, how that has been. This is basically different exercise. It's not necessarily consumer prices.
Sure, thank you.
So with this, I have covered the price stability part of the objectives plus the breach report discussions. And let me discuss briefly about the financial sector.
You can be quick on this.
Of course, yeah. So the financial system stability remained resilient and showed greater stability. So we have classified the functions and operations done under certain responsibilities, starting with Central Bank as a macroprudential authority. There were some actions taken. So we revised the existing framework for domestically systemic important banks, and there was a direction and gazette notification issued during the first 4 months. And also the outcomes of systemic risk survey for first half of this year was the key findings were released this year. And also the stress testing and risk assessment framework were improved. And
For what?
this is for the banking sector assessment. This was solvency and liquidity related framework. And also the Central Bank has launched the Sustainable Finance Roadmap version 2. The initial version was published in 2019, and an improved version in consultation with other stakeholders have been released recently.
On that, Governor, I don't know whether you read, the FT had a full-page article by Dr. Petiagoda on how flawed the central bank's sustainable finance roadmap is. Because he said some of the data that had been used, obviously according to his assessment, was faulty. I don't know whether you all took a critical look at that article, but I think it is good because the onus is on you to make sure that this is correctly representing the reality.
So all I can say, our sustainable roadmap was basically published and worked out in consultation with the international experts, UNDP, IFC, and local experts on the sustainability. University of Moratuwa, the universities, much broader consultation, bank sector, all have been fully agreed, and they agreed, and also that's how we have published. I don't think it is appropriate for us to comment on one person's view. I think that's not appropriate. We have our own views, but obviously it's not. We think that is, it's not worth responding to.
Sure,
this
I
kind
understand.
of. Thank you.
And also the data gaps related to insurance and capital market sectors were addressed. And as a supervisor of banks, there were directions, rules and guidance issued. There was an addendum to the circular number 4 of 2024 on relief measures to affected SMEs. And also there was an addendum on the corporate governance of licensed banks. And also there was a circular issued on reporting information technology and cyber security related incidences by the licensed banks to the central bank. And also there were regulatory approvals. There were 91 approvals related to branch self-servicing machines and other bank outlets. And 126 regulatory approvals were given for fitness and proprietary of bank directors, SOEs, CEOs and key management personnel, and several other related arrangements. And also on-site and off-site examinations were done to the banks. And
On that, just one moment, we have received something, I was going to take it up under other issues, but I'll take it up now. In this the Central Bank Circular number 9 of 2021, does it say penal interest not applicable during the COVID moratorium? This is a public letter that we've got. What is regulation number, circular number 9 of 2021?
Can we check and let us know?
Yeah. While we do this?
Yeah, we'll check and.
Okay, then.
And as the supervisor of the non-bank financial institutions also, there were regulatory improvements to the framework. Measures were taken to amend the Banking Finance Act, Finance Leasing Act, and primary dealer companies' directions. And also there were continuous supervisory activities with both on-site and off-site supervision. And also actions were taken against the failed finance companies and primary dealer companies and attended court cases. And there were investigations on the unauthorized deposit-taking institutions. And also the Central Bank has been actively engaging in public awareness on disclosure on websites, press releases, awareness programs, training programs on matters related to supervision of non-bank institutions.
We've seen a lot of public communication by the central bank on investing in these plantation type investment companies, like grow trees and you get money back or something like that. I mean, I've seen quite a bit of those public communications recently. Is there some systemic issue there, or?
We have basically issuing communications not to get into unauthorized, say unregulated investments, but we are encouraging publishing list of registered finance companies that to invest or deposit taking, illegal deposit taking. So anything else beyond unregulated, we basically, when there are questions asked at the media, we basically respond to them that these are not regulated by anyone. So people have been, it's like pyramid or unauthorized deposit taking mechanisms using certain, say for example, saying this are plantation giving you this much of return, gain monthly returns and large returns. Those are all, in our view, are kind of maybe people might get into difficulties if they invest in. That's why, and the question is, this is not coming under our regulations. It's illegal to collect deposits from the public, but they are basically advertising as investment. So that someone can invite someone to invest. They use that kind of this thing within the law, advertising in the media, newspapers, inviting to invest in plantations. I think that's a.
Yes, I have seen a famous cricketer has always advertised on that.
Yeah.
I know the famous cricketer and the bank is at loggerheads, no?
Governor, any suggestions to address this issue? Because it has, as Honorable Member mentioned, it has come out many times. Any suggestions from the central bank side to address this issue? I'm sure we may be waiting for response from other agencies. Is that an interim solution until the final solution is developed?
Yeah, I think there's a problem is that we were trying to have financial literacy and awareness to understand people not to get into this kind of scams. But in the legal framework, what we are basically requesting public not to invest in any sectors which are unregulated. For example, Colombo Stock Exchange regulated by SEC, insurance regulated by insurance regulator, deposit taking institution regulated by us. Any investment proposals asking public to invest, there's no proper legal framework here. The people use that lack of legal framework. Even the crypto is another example. Or saying that crypto will give you this kind of investment, plantation will give you this kind of return. Those are not under proper legal framework. So people use those lack of legal framework to get the people to invest and giving false promises, and people sometimes get into this kind of scams. I think you need to have a stronger regulatory framework in the law. There's a gap there, I think.
I fully agree. In the interim short term, to contain the challenges and issues that public are going through on day in day out basis, any suggestions so we can kind of look at talking to other institutions,
good to have
interim solution.
Good to have a collaborative communication strategy to educate people, about this. That's what we have been trying very hard in our communication strategy. And problem is that we have direct and unbank. When we get complaints, we do investigations. One thing is ask people to complain if they have lost money, or if they are going to lose money. If anyone is asking them to invest, a lot of times what happens, people when they only lose money, they come to police or complain to us, then we start investigation. And the way these people are doing, they have certain legal agreements, which basically prevents all the legal loopholes are being used. So it's kind of a bilateral agreement. So the contract breach is only go to the police and legal enforcement process, but it's an unfortunate situation. I think a direct non-bank, can you explain? I think we have a direct non-bank who is authorized to take actions if there's an illegal deposit taking, but they come in the guise of not deposit taking, but it's a deposit taking.
Yeah, we have initiated about 120, the ongoing investigations is around 120 odd companies. If they take public deposits only, we can initiate action. So most of these agreements don't seem to come under the purview of the Act, because they have different agreements.
Any provision in the law that allows you to interpret some of these engagements
yes,
as
there is section 70
arrangements?
Yes.
So if people are, even though they are having arrangements and doing it, to bring it to the framework,
yes,
at least as a temporary deterrent.
Yeah, section 73 of the Finance Business Act specified what deposits are. So if they come within the purview of that particular definition, yes, of course, we do take action against those people. But the thing is, most of these plantation companies have different types of agreements, which don't come into the definition of deposits.
So the general public can reach out to central banks and to report these cases if there's a issue. And
of course,
through
they
a filtration process, you can decide whether this belonged into this plantation type.
Yes.
But rest can be looked into as an interim thing.
Yes.
Thank you.
That is what.
Doing that already, I think
Thank
there are cases reported to the AGA, CID, and they are taking some time to do the investigation. That's why you see some media reports saying that someone has been arrested and the cases have been filed. But that's a long process, legal process taking a long time.
ස්තුතියි ගවර්නර් මහජනතාව මේ වැඩසටහන මම හිතන්නේ අන්තර්ජාලය තුලින් බලන නිසා නැවත වතාවක් සිංහල මාධ්‍යනුත් මම කරුණාකර ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා ඔබතුමියගෙන් මේ වගේ වංචාසහගත වැඩකටයුතු සිද්ධ වෙන නිසා සමාජය තුල ඒකට ගොදුරුණු නැත්නම් ඒකට පත්වේහායි නැත්නම් එහෙම වැරදි වැඩක් කරනවා අයයි දැනුවත්කමක් තියෙන කෙනෙකුට මහ බැංකුවට සම්බන්ධ වෙලා මේ පිළිබඳව දැනුවත් කරන්නට පුළුවන්. නමුත් දැනට ප්ලාන්ටේෂන් නැත්නම් වගා සම්බන්ධ ව්‍යාපෘති පිළිබඳව යම් කිසි පැහැදිලි තීරණයකට එකඟ වෙලා නැති නිසා ඒ සම්බන්ධව විශ්නා ගන්න හැටි ඒ අර අනිත් ඒ වගේ කම්ප්ලේන්ස් ලැබුණොත් පැමිණිලි ලැබුණොත් මහ බැංකුවට ඔබතුමියගේ අංශයට ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් විමසා බලන්න විමර්ශනය කරන්නට පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා මහ ජනතාවට පුළුවන් අවශ්‍යතාවය Tamanට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නය අනුව ඔබතුමියන්ලට මැදිහත් වෙන්න. එහෙම කිව්වොත් හරිද?
ඔව් හරි අපිට මේ දුරකථනයෙන් හෝ ඊමේල් මාර්ගයෙන් අවශ්‍ය තොරතුරු හැබැයි අපිට ලබා දෙන්න ඕනේ. මොකද මේක අන්තිමේදී උසාවියකට යන ප්‍රොසෙස් එකක් වෙන්නේ. උසාවියේදී හරියටම ඔප්පු කරන්න පුළුවන් ආකාරයේ තොරතුරු අපිට ලබා. නිකන් කටවචනෙන් කිව්වට හරියන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ තමන් ගාවිතේ තියෙන මොන හරි ડોකියුමන්ට් එකක් ඒ වගේ දේවල් ලබා දීලා අපිට සහයෝගය දක්වන්න ඕනේ. ඉන්වෙස්ටිගේෂන් සමහර අය කිව්වට එන්නේ නැහැ. ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එකක් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. තියෙන ડોකියුමන්ට් එකක් අපිට ලබා දෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ වගේ අනිත් එක තමන්ට ප්‍රතිලාභ ලැබෙන අවස්ථාවේදී කවුරුත් කම්ප්ලේන් කරන්නේත් නැහැ. වෙන්නේ අර පැනලා ගියාට පස්සේ තමයි අපිට කම්ප්ලේන්ස් එන්නේ. ඒතර එතනින්ම අපිට සමහරවිට අපිට මේ ෆේලියර් එකක් වෙනවා මේ ඉන්වෙස්ටිගේෂන් කරන්න.
මේකට දැනුවත් ඔබතුමිය බල සම්බන්ධ වෙනවා නම් ඊමේල් ඇඩ්‍රස් එකක් තියනවාද ටෙලිෆෝන් එකකින් කිව්වොත් එහෙම සමහර විට ගැටලු සහගතයි
ඔව් dsnbfi@cbsl.lk
තවසරයක් කියන කරුණාකරලා
dsnbfi Department of Supervision of Non-Bank Financial Institutions කියන එකේ කෙටි වචන @cbsl.lk කියන ඊමේල් ඇඩ්‍රස් එකට එවන්න පුළුවන් 2477 504 කියන නම්බර් එකට දැනුම් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේම හොට්ලයින් එකක් තියෙනවා 1935 කියලා. ඒ අංකයට දැනුම් දෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. හැබැයි ඒවයි අපි ඊට පස්සේ නැවත තොරතුරු ලබා දෙනකොට ඒවට අවශ්‍ය ડોකියුමන්ට්ස් එහෙම අපිට ලබා දෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක නැත්නම් අපිට ඉන් එහාට ඉන්වෙස්ටිගේෂන් එක යන්න බෑ.
බොහොම ස්තුතියි දැනුවත් කිරීම.
මේක මේ දෙමළ මිනිස්සුත් බලනවා දෙමළුත් කියන්න පුළුවන්ද?
මට නම් හැකියාවක් නැහැ කෙනෙක්.
නෑ මොකද ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ওই උතුරේ තමයි මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ වැඩිපුර තියෙන්නේ.
නෑ සභාපතිතුමා උතුරේ නෙමෙයි මේ අනිත් ප්‍රදේශවල තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ වැඩියෙන් තියෙන්නේ. උතුරට
I
වඩා.
have another.
හැකියාව තියෙන මෙම්බර් කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් කරුණාකරලා ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා ඒකේ සරල දෙයක් සරල පණිවිඩය ඔබතුමියට if possible.
On the same score,
Okay, we'll let you do it.
sorry,
Some marketing for this.
Chairman, on the same score, may credit card payments that are being made now, while the deposits is one, there are a lot of down south and in that area where they are collecting on foreign credit cards. And that is creating a huge revenue erosion for the country. So what is the steps that can be done on that as well? Collection of finances across the board. So this is another great concern that has got to be looked at. Can you do some awareness programs on those type of areas as well?
Yeah, this is a separate topic, Honorable.
It's the same, no? Collection of revenue.
No, we were discussing.
You're losing 20% taxes.
No, we were discussing the regulatory aspect of people who've been investing in non-regulated investments. It is on that basis that the answer was given. But I totally agree that this is a huge issue, and somebody needs to address that. But can we take it later after the discussion, Honorable Member?
Chairman, can I get
Please.
this on this one?
Yeah.
A quick one. Have there been any interventions towards the microfinance companies that are not coming under banking institutions but charging a huge amount of interest from women? I mean, have there any interventions from the central bank in the past?
No, microfinance unregistered, there are a number of, that's where the Credit Regulatory Authority bill came to the Parliament last year. And this was challenged at Supreme Court, and there's now, I
Wasn't
think,
passed.
Minister of Finance is again, I think there's a new draft, as I understand, that has to come into the Credit Regulatory Authority, the bill, I think, that will address.
Otherwise, no interventions can be made.
No, I think that's basically is idea is that when someone is giving credit on their own money, there's no prohibition. But no, they can't take deposits. Yeah, can give it like පොලිමුදලාලි කරන වැඩේනේ. ඒ වගේ එකක් කරනකොට ඒකට දැනට රෙගුලේටරි ෆ්‍රේම් එකක් නැහැ. ඒක තමයි ක්‍රෙඩිට් රිගුලේටරි ඔතොරිටි එකේ දාලා තියෙන්නේ. ඩිපොසිට් එකකින් අමතරව ක්‍රෙඩිට් දෙන එකත් from the customer point of view they need some regulation because of the unfair practices. These people are collecting money from after giving credit. Online credit is another scam.
Yeah.
Internet-based credit disbursement is again another new development. That is where the CRA will have to be passed in the Parliament.
Shall we speed it up a bit? Sorry, Honorable Member. We have member.
So some money-oriented people get together under the cooperative law and they establish cooperative banks. So then collect the deposit and so they disappear. So then people are suffering. So in this.
Cooperative banks also come in on the cooperative ministry. There's a separate regulator, but there's a very weak regulatory framework. That's also been addressed in the new CRA. Otherwise, this problem with the cooperative institutions, they collect deposits member base, but there are no proper governance processes. All these things are pretty much lacking. People lose. For time, this money has been misused, and people are losing money. Members are losing money.
The central bank is also a resolution authority for the country, and also it maintains the deposit insurance. So there are some discussions related to that. The order was issued under the Banking Special Provision Act to extend the resolution provisions related to banks and non-bank the licensed finance companies, and also proactively commenced resolution planning for domestic systemically important banks under this Special Provisions Act, well ahead of any resolution trigger. And also developed a draft resolution operational manual under this Resolution Act, and also as per the board approved resolution policy. And the central bank has been maintaining and operating deposit insurance scheme, as well as maintain the financial stability fund. And also the process compensation claims under the deposit insurance schemes, and also has been monitoring the mandatory use of unique identification numbers of depositors, and also continued rollout of depositor-wise data collection system to the licensed banks. And also there was improved investment policy of the deposit insurance to diversify investments, including in foreign assets. And also there has been continuous effort to enhance the institutional capacity of the deposit insurance scheme in line with the core principles of International Association of Deposit Insurers. And also the central bank has a financial consumer protection financial consumer regulations department. Under that, the department has been handling complaints. There were 1,740 complaints received so far, and out of this 1,500 has been within the purview of the central bank.
And how many have you resolved?
We have DIRD here.
We publish the numbers. Basically, what we see, this is a new concept not from the stability point of view, consumer point of view. We have a open upper line, and also people can complain if the unfair practices by the banks. And also we have issued directions also to how to handle consumer complaints, and basically all the disclosures. Sometimes complain that people get into agreement without knowing proper small letter, all these things, and we have new regulations, directions to the banks also. It's a new one we have been developing. Now we are doing a lot of work. So bank by bank, there's on-site, off-site examinations, as well as issue directions, and also trying to, their complaint, we forward that to the relevant bank, and then they are supposed to take actions if that is a violation of the rules.
So now this Parate is back on? Or is it still suspended? Or I'm assuming a lot of these complaints could be.
Yes, I think no. It's not mainly. These are mainly the unfair charges,
right.
Unfair interest rate charge or low deposits. A lot of complaints are basically complaints by the customers of the financial sector, especially banks and non-bank financial institutions. We have a variety of complaints, so we look at each and every one.
Also, Central Bank does market conduct supervision. There was a one full scope supervision, as well as 2 thematic reviews on high interest rates and digital financial products, and also issued an order on a financial institution. And also the department is handling the investigation on pyramid scheme. And the Central Bank has a role in the payments and settlement of the country as well. So there were payments and settlement system circulars were issued regarding the digital retail payment system. And also the measures were taken to enhance the safety of mobile payment applications, and also granted approval to link national payment infrastructure with Alipay, so enabling the tourists to use their Alipay apps through local QR merchant locations.
But you also did know with the Indian, what was that called?
UPay.
UPI and Union Pay.
Yeah, there are number of 3 platforms already connected cross-border transactions.
So this was done during this period. So is Alipay big here? Are people using it?
It is just started, so we are looking at the numbers.
It's mainly by Chinese. I think the Chinese tourist recovery has not happened to a greater extent, so we may have to wait. And evaluated proposals submitted by financial institutions and fintech companies on payment services development under the fintech initiatives. And also several consumer awareness programs were held, and published data on payments system under the payments bulletin. And also currently revising legal framework related to payments and settlement system. And under the foreign exchange management, currently the foreign exchange related policies are being reviewed to do some reforms in line with the market developments. And also regulations and directions have been issued under Foreign Exchange Act, and facilitated investment outside the country. 126 clearance letters have been issued, and regulating and promoting foreign exchange transactions in the country, monitoring export proceed repatriation for export proceeds, and granted 20 special permissions for opening special foreign currency accounts, and granted permission to authorize money changers and other entities for foreign exchange dealings, and monitoring and enforcement measures related to foreign exchange transactions, and strengthening the compliance with foreign exchange regulations. And,
now on that, when we discussed some months back, you said that Undial and Hawala were not illegal, but they needed to provide regulations. They were working on that. Is there an update on that?
There is a regulation has been issued on that, sir, but no one has come and still registered with us.
So there are no regulated Undial and Hawala operators in Sri Lanka?
Yeah, it is the Hawala and Undial. What we are told is if they are operating in such kind of business, to come and register with us. And we have published several newspaper public notices in newspapers, but still we are waiting for the people to come and register. So no one has submitted an application yet.
We'll take it up at another time.
ඔබතුමියගෙන් මම කරුණාකරලා ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා පුළුවන්කමක් තිබෙනවා if possible give a very brief message at least on the email address and the contact number in Tamil for people the matter that we discussed. Just take 1 minute, and otherwise it's not fair, as chairman highlighted earlier. Please, just a 1 minute.
பொதுமக்களிடமிருந்து சட்டப்பூர்வம் இல்லாத வகையில் வாய்ப்புகள் மேற்கொள்ளப்படுவது தொடர்பாக பல்வேறு முறைப்பாடுகள் கிடைத்திருக்கின்றன. அந்த அடிப்படையிலே பொதுமக்கள் இவ்வாறான ஏதாவது தகவல்கள் கிடைக்கும் பொழுது அல்லது இதன் மூலம் பாதிக்கப்படும் பொழுது மத்திய வங்கிக்கு அது தொடர்பாக அறியத்தரலாம். அவ்வாறு அறியத்தரும் பொழுது அது தொடர்பான அனைத்து முக்கியமான ஆவணங்களும் அது தொடர்பான விடயங்களையும் மத்திய வங்கிக்கு தெரியப்படுத்த வேண்டியது, அது தொடர்பான மேலதிக நடவடிக்கைகளை மத்திய வங்கி மேற்கொள்வதற்கு ஆதரவளிக்கக்கூடியதாக இருக்கும். அந்த அடிப்படையிலே இது தொடர்பான ஏதாவது பொதுமக்களுக்கு முறைப்பாடுகள் இருக்குமாக இருந்தால் அதற்கு அறிவிப்பதற்காக ஒரு மின்னஞ்சல் முகவரி ஒன்று காணப்படுகின்றது. dsnbfi@cbsl.lk அல்லது தொலைபேசியில் தொடர்பு கொள்வதாக இருந்தால் 0112477504 அல்லது ஒரு ஹொட்லைன் ஊடாக தொடர்பு கொள்வதாக இருந்தால் 1935 என்ற இலக்கத்தினூடாக தொடர்பு கொண்டு இது தொடர்பான முறைப்பாடுகளை செய்து அதன் மூலமாக தேவையான விவரங்களை சமர்ப்பித்து இது தொடர்பான முறைப்பாடுகளை மேற்கொள்ள முடியும்.
You need to buy her a pizza for that one.
And also, the central bank is still functioning as the public debt management agency. There was a public debt management office established in December 2024, and currently there is a transition happening by transferring the responsibilities that the central bank has been doing under the public debt department. So thus far, the central bank has been supporting the PDMO in providing on-the-job training for the PDMO officials, and provided guidance and related information to the consultants of PDMO in developing its operational procedures. And also, the Central Bank Public Debt Department has been continuously raising domestic funds through treasury bills and bonds thus far during the year. And also, through these operations, it facilitated downward adjustment in the yield rates, as well as extending the average time to maturity for treasury government securities.
On that, Governor, we have to take this up at another time. We had a discussion with the PDMO officials here, and there was a major discrepancy in the number. You see, in the medium-term debt management strategy, they are telling us that by 2029, the debt to GDP, according to their documents, is supposed to be 72%. And we disagreed with them, saying, look, it is 71%, and that it should be 95% by 2032. So, you know, I mean, that's too much of a contradiction. And they said they are working on old assumptions. You can't be working on old assumptions, no. It has to, assumptions, if they've changed, they must be updated. And you can't really say, look, this is the number that we are aiming to get. I don't want to get into a discussion here, but I think this is where some, because you're handing over the responsibility from the central bank to the PDMO, and this is your job in providing expertise and all that, I think there needs to be some sort of concurrence in the targets and the way it is to be done. I'm just making that point so that you are aware.
Chairman, if I may,
Yes, please.
so I don't have the full explanation, but there is a committee called Public Debt Management Consultative Committee. I am a member of it. So I think the part of the difference comes from the definition of debt. So the IMF DSA analysis talks about the public debt. So it's not only the central government debt, it also includes some of the guaranteed debt. Under this medium-term debt management strategy, I think those numbers are mostly related to central government debt. So that also partly explained why this has been relatively lower than the DSA-related numbers. No. I just thought that there is a major difference, mainly coming from the definition of debt, central government versus public.
No.
If you are taking the island debt, then it's far more than that. If you are taking state-owned enterprise debt also on the
The DSA, the IMF DSA is higher.
They were only referring to the
Government debt.
They were talking only that that was one of your central bank's accountant people.
No, I think the question was under the IMF DSA, by the end of the required period, it's 90 plus. But under PDMO analysis, it's 70 plus. That was the question, right?
No, 90 by 95 by 2032.
Yes.
Here it is
71 by
71
29.
by 2029.
That's what I am trying to
No,
explain.
it cannot be, Director. The difference cannot be so much. I can understand 3-4%, but not 25%.
Yeah, it's one explanation is the central government versus public debt.
No,
Central
that is
government
not.
debt. Okay.
That is even higher, it can't be lower.
Central government is lower than public debt.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he was referring to central government. He even,
But
after
he-
he questioned here, they went public on the media. Here this 71% debt to GDP by 29, after we questioned them and we advised them not to.
there can be a small difference, but it can't be 20%, 23% difference. No, my point is, what they are saying is they are working with the assumptions from the IMF.
Assumptions are different.
Yeah, but the IMF also changes its assumptions as and when necessary, no? Don't they? I mean, they said that the rupee was supposed to be 370 or 400. We all know that. But then, even with that, the number is 95. Not 70, 95 by 2032. So anyway, this is a point that I want to bring, since you are apparently in the committee, and now the Treasury is supposed to be responsible for this, but this is still the transition period. We can't have two sets of numbers, and it's a key number. So I would urge you to discuss this in your consultative committee and come, sort of converge on one particular number that you are both trying to, or rather the PDMO is trying to achieve. Thank you.